Hello and welcome back. This is Sherri with Heart and Soulful in the studio today. I wanted to say a grateful thank you to all of the people who have subscribed to my channel. When I started this just over 2 years ago, I had no idea anyone would even find my video. It was started as a way to share a particular project that I was working on with my Facebook page. And that's how it started. I didn't think that anyone but those people might see it. So I was surprised this week when I hit 5,000 subscribers. And so I want to show my appreciation, and I'm going to be doing some freebies. So hopefully I will have a link down below by the time this video is up with some freebies that you can go find on my Google Drive. So today I wanted to do a flip through of the two that I have been working on. And I thought, as I was doing this, I thought, you know, I was kind of reflecting on where I've come over the last couple of years, because if you've been following me along, you'll see that styles are completely different. And it doesn't mean that I won't go back. I am a person that likes lots of different things. I like to learn new things and then share them. And that's kind of why this channel started. So if you're brand new to my channel and you like this video, please give me a thumbs up. If you're interested to see more videos, click on subscribe, and then the little bell will notify you when I post a new video. I wanted to kind of back up a little bit as I was going through how I was going to share these. Every time I do a project, it's a sort of me analyzing maybe something that I have watched on other channels, figuring out how I want to apply a technique or a style or something to my own taste and style and the way that I want to work. When I first started journaling, it was to learn mixed media art, and that was kind of the purpose. And I stumbled on a journal project and I was hooked from there. And so I've tried to, over the last 2 years, incorporate the different styles that I like into different types of projects, different formats, and that sort of thing. Because I like to learn new things and challenge myself, that to me is sort of the growth, and then sharing that growth with other people. So I kind of approach everything that way. My personality tends to be kind of analytical. So I would take maybe a video that I watched and maybe do it their way, but then maybe I switch it to fit my own personality and the way that I like to work. And when you're just starting out, maybe you don't know what order to do things or how you like to work. There are many ways to do things. I'm always saying that there's more than one way to build a box. And so that's why it's fun, because there's so many different creators out there and so many different ways that people approach projects. And so this project to me was sort of a challenge regarding digitals and what comes first, the chicken or the egg. For me, when I first started doing this whole journaling book arts, we'll call it, I didn't have a lot of materials for that sort of thing. So I was always creating things for myself and then wanting to share those. So that's kind of how I got into starting doing digitals. And I'm going to show you, in case you haven't been following my channel, kind of where I started and where I headed. And that's how these journals came about. If you don't care about that background or all of that, I just know that I'm a curious person. And when I see other makers out there, sometimes I'm curious as where did you start? What do you do with all of this? You know, how does it daily fit into your life? Maybe I'm not a journaler. I'm not someone who sits and writes and puts my memories and things into the journals. I am more someone who wants to be creative every day. So I like making them and making all the different parts of them. And, you know, junk journaling is, you know, making them using junk, but not all of us do that. Sometimes we're using trash, and sometimes we're creating the things, or we're using purchased papers and embellishments and that sort of thing. Or maybe you like making your own. I'm more the make it yourself kind of person, do it yourself kind of person. So I'm thinking that mine tend to be that way more, using up all your scraps and that sort of thing. But then at the same time, I'm also using purchased things. So I'm going to set these aside just a little bit, just to kind of show you some of the digital, where that evolution went for me, because that's kind of why I did these books. To explain that further, when I started out, like I said, I didn't have a lot of supplies, and I did start out wanting to learn mixed media. So my very first, I wouldn't say this was not my first journal, but the first ones that I started creating digitals for. And because I was doing mixed media things, that was my goal. I had a jelly plate and I was learning how to use that. And I had created some papers that I just loved how colorful they were. They really reflected my personality as far as I like lots of colors. I don't have a favorite. I always say it's the rainbow. So I had printed out these papers using old book page and doodled on them. I loved how they turned out, so I wanted to share them. I had no idea how to do digitals and make them available. So I think this was my very first one that I did. And it was just a way to share. This was a whole kit created after I had done the journal. I went ahead and scanned my papers beforehand because I knew I was going to be using the originals in this journal. And once they're cut up, they're gone. So I went ahead and scanned them all so that I could share them. That's how this evolved. So for me, when I say what came first, the chicken or the egg, I was creating a journal and then I loved the papers or whatever embellishments that I used so much that I wanted to share them. So I turned them into digitals. So that's kind of how it started for me, with journal first and then comes the digitals. This kit was my very first one, and it actually, I didn't have a page printed out, but it actually has some of the different elements that I made that I then scanned the finished element to so that you can cut them out for cards and that sort of thing. So that's kind of where I started. This entire journal was the envelope stacking, the envelope style journal, and it was made using only book page. So all of these prints, jelly prints, were done on old book page. Everything in this book was made from recycled book page. And the reason was because I had been making altered books and had a lot of book page I needed to use up. So that's kind of where my digital thing started. This one was so popular, but it was a whole kit for that particular journal. Later on, more recently, I actually made another kit just with all the different papers. It's more of for backgrounds, not with all the little ephemera embellishments or anything. So this is just the paper. So those two, and then of a similar style of this bright, colorful backgrounds, I also did another jelly print thing that was colorful, but a little darker, moodier, when I say darker, with some different, not doodling, but stamping and that sort of thing. So these three kits are kind of similar in that they're all colorful and more hand painted things. So that was kind of one place that I went. Then I also have loved vintage. Prior to doing all of this journaling kind of thing, I had space in vintage co-op sort of shops where you sell your vintage things. And so I've always had a love for that and grunginess and all that sort of thing. This was a way for me to kind of incorporate those things that I was learning using the jelly plate and, stamps and different things and printing to create some backgrounds that were more grungy, a totally different style than the bright colored things. And those turned into my fresco background finishes. And the reason I'm showing you these, because they're in these journals that I use, and I don't want to make reference, if you're brand new, to kits and things I have that you've never seen. So there is also, these are all in my Etsy shop, the Fresco Finish Backgrounds. And these are just like grungy old walls. To me, that's what they look like. But they're great backgrounds. And I've used them now since, either just in this form or as a layer where I've added on top of those, whether digitally or collaging and that sort of thing. So Fresco Finishes was another. But at this point, all my digitals really are just kind of scanning backgrounds that I've painted. I had also done one where I used a stamp and some texture and different things to create these, I call them distressed wallpaper. So none of these are real wallpaper. They were all just created to look like old distressed wallpaper. So I have those two also, but they're all, again, backgrounds. And then I had also done some different techniques on staining paper. And so I created these grungy backgrounds, and there's 42 designs in this one, but they're all grungy backgrounds so that you can, cut them up and use them as pieces, but they can cross over from those brightly colored papers and also the vintage look too. So I kind of wanted to just kind of show you those real quick, because that's kind of where I started, and I continue to take those and see how many different ways I can use them and combine them together and that sort of thing. Because I feel like if you're going to purchase a digital, you don't want maybe all of your work to look redundant. And so it's kind of fun if you can take things that maybe you wouldn't put together and put them together to create maybe another new style that you haven't tried. So I kind of went from there, keeping in the vintage lane, to vintage books. And I mentioned this in the last video and showed it too because I heavily use it in these two journals. So I have always collected old books long before I started doing any of this. It was just kind of a thing that I liked. One of my very first jobs was working in a library, and so I've always kind of had a book thing, and I just love old books. So I had created this digital for people who don't collect old books, but you want to use those for signatures in your journal or for whatever, a digital kit of some of my pages out of my books. So I had that, and then this was the last video I shared, these two collages. This is where things changed for me. So that's kind of why I wanted to show where it came from. I'm just kind of an analytical person. And so, you know, if this isn't interesting, you fast forward to the journal part. But I always kind of wonder, you know, I'm just a curious person. And so I kind of thought I would share that evolution so that you understand why I did these two journals and kind of what I'm trying to learn for myself. Before I started these two collage packs, I had, you know, made my background journals. I even kind of consider these background, they're just scans. I didn't paint them or anything, but it's still along that sort of line where this was a way to share, not really me being creative in any way. So I had been over the past year learning also digital collage and that sort of thing, learning Photoshop and Adobe Illustrator. I had never used those before. So I've been kind of playing slowly with learning how to use those and all the different techniques and layers and textures and things that you can get, which is just another format really similar to, you know, manually creating a collage and all that. You can all do that also on the computer, which for me is kind of nice because when you're traveling and you can't take anything with you, if I can take a computer, I have it all on there. If I've scanned enough of my things that I can play around and do that, and still that's creative also. So I had never purchased anyone else's kits before. And so I was watching at Roxy Creations, and she had this French tattoo kit that I just loved because I loved the style of it. I loved how colorful it was. I loved that it combined vintage things with, you know, some in a new way to me. For me, that was a new way. I bought those and I just absolutely loved them. And I had actually done, this is a series in itself called The Elocutionist, where I had started this journal. At that point, I hadn't done my digital, so I was using actual old wallpaper from sample books and her kit. And so this whole journal was with old book page, wallpaper samples, and her kit. And I think at this point I had only maybe purchased one or two. There's 3 in this series. And so I was just kind of having fun with it and thought, oh, I want to make more kind of like this. I didn't bind them the same. I wasn't happy with how this binding, it was a happy accident. So if you watch these videos, you'll kind of see what happened here. But it made me want to make more in that kind of feel, using old book covers and then maybe a combination of different things to go in for the signatures. So that's kind of how I came to wanting to do one of these. And this one was actually the first one that I started. So what happened is I started this journal. It's 5 signatures. And I wanted, at that point, I think, let's see, I had her kits and the old book pages and then my background kits that I could use. And I decided I wanted to maybe attempt to do some of my own digital collage. I had started learning it, but I had really only done a couple of actual pages, which I've never really shared. I think I posted a picture on my Facebook page kind of thing, but that's as far as that had gone because I was really just still learning. So I decided I wanted to create this journal. Another thing that she does is I was also doing her, meaning Rachel at Roxy Creations, her project the beginning of this year that was her stitchery. I used to embroider a tiny bit, mostly cross stitch, that kind of thing. And I'm talking like 30 years ago. But I had some thread and that kind of thing. And so I decided to do the stitchery kind of class that she did. That was a 6-month thing. She's on a second one now, which I'm not participating in, but I wanted to kind of learn about the slow stitching thing because she was doing these really fun spine covers on old books. And I had a lot of old books that I had just the cover with no spine. I needed to replace the spine, or it was damaged and I needed to cover it. So I was learning that. And I actually, for this one, used an old Webster's dictionary. And I like how grungy the cover is, so I didn't want to alter that too much, but it needed a spine. So I took one of her, this is printed on fabric, one of her digitals to use for my my spine cover. And then I just added some of my rusted out scrim, some old lace that I had rusted, and just some other little bits and pieces, and done some slow stitching, just to kind of accentuate her digital. So, and then just some wooden buttons. So that's the cover and the spine. And I did this one 5 signatures, which I've decided for this size of spine was too much. The second one I'll show you that I did with 3, and I'm much happier with that because there's still a lot to be added to this book. So I don't mind them chunky. I do actually like them to sit on a shelf like this because it just makes me want to grab it and look in it. So I'll go through this one. It'll take a little bit longer because it's 5 signatures. And both of these, I did decide, when I started it, I didn't know if I'd sell them or not, but I have decided I am going to let them go. So I have a list of anyone who's shown interest. Feel free to add your name down in the comments in case they don't want them, because this has been a while now that I've been working on them. So I'm going to offer them to the two first dib people, and then we'll go from there. But they will otherwise end up in my Etsy shop. So on this one, on the cover, inside cover, I had gone ahead and actually decoupaged one of the dictionary pages on the front and on the back. Just for the inside cover was kind of damaged. And then I did this one, not a floating spine, it's glued in, but it's done where you see the fabric instead of putting the fabric and gluing down and then putting the end paper on. This was done the reverse. Okay, so on the inside cover, I wanted to do kind of like a library pocket fill. So there's just a recycled envelope turned into a little pocket. And then I just have this is actually a Tim Holtz card. This one is from Tracy Fox. Since I started buying digitals, I think Rachel's was my first. Then I've actually bought several more now from different people, just to be able to use to kind of fill in the things I don't have already. So I believe this is a little Tracy Fox one behind here. I also had purchased some ephemera ones. I have some of my own now, ephemera, but this was before that. So I'm not sure where that one came from, but just done a little collage on that card. This base was a Tim Holtz card that already had the lines on the back. And then this was a vintage library card. Or no, it wasn't. I think I printed this one. Now I can't tell. I think this is one that I made. So I printed out a library card, front and back, and then just put them together. And then just a little bit of embellishment. My goal when I did these 2 journals was I wanted to kind of be random about how I filled them up. I don't want to fill up every page because I had decided I was going to sell them. And I'm selling them to people who do this, who like to make journals, I think. So I want them to be able to add in and journal, have plenty of room on pages to do their own thing. So I just added, stuff here and there as I've been learning. And there's little videos, shorter videos on some of the different elements of these 2. So this was one of my digitals, the front of this one. And I'm not sure it's even in a kit, if it even made it into a kit. This might have been one of my practice ones. Let me see if I even put this in there. I almost think it was, yeah, it's not even in any of these kits because this was one of my practice ones. So I'll see if I can find this, if I still have it. And if I do, I can maybe put that one in the freebies. So I'll have to look for that. So anyway, that was one of my first attempts at doing some digital collage. And then this is the little glassine, faux glassine envelope with a little journal card. This one is one of Rachel's from one of her papers. And then this is something that I created, I think is in one of my digitals. And then I printed it onto pink paper. But I didn't decorate it up. A lot of them I didn't. I just did the card and an envelope or a pocket and didn't decorate it. And then this little pocket here. And then another card. This is a Tim Holtz card that I just did a tiny bit of embellishment on. The signatures in this one are a combination of original book page, vintage book page, and her digitals, my digitals. I think this one I put together as far as the signatures, I'm trying to look real quick, is from book page and my book page kit, my vintage book page kit are in there. I think when I did, this is one of my wallpaper backgrounds. This is a wallpaper background. So I'm just flipping through here real quick to see what all I made the signatures from. Mostly old book page, my book page kit. And I think at that point, it looks like none of the signatures, the actual pages, are from her digitals, because I think I had not purchased those yet, if I remember. It's looking like that. I think it was really just my practice one was the only digital as far as in the signature pages. And then I started creating more of these. At that point, I did not have too many printed out, I don't think. So it's mostly I started embellishing with the French Chateau as far as like printing on this envelope and that sort of thing. I started with those. And then that's what led me to, I didn't want my whole journal to just be the French Chateau digitals. I wanted to incorporate and mix in some of my own things, just to, like I said, to be more individual in my journal, because anybody can purchase my kit, someone else's kit. But if you do it with one journal with the whole thing and then somebody else does, they're going to look really similar, I think. I mean, you're going to use the papers in different ways, but they'll still be recognizable, I guess was my thing. And I wanted it to have a little bit more variety in there. So it made me want to create my own kit. So let's see where I'm here. This was an envelope that is printed with one of the French Chateau digitals, and then embossed vellum for the window. And then a card that I made just with actual collage on the card of just different scraps. This is one of Rachel's, and I did create some papers. I call them B-sides on my digitals, where there might be lined papers. I think that's from this one, which is in the second volume, to do for backsides of cards and that sort of thing, backsides of digitals. This is just a Tim Holtz card. I didn't do anything to it. This pocket, I can't remember which, if that's hers or mine. I almost think that one's one of mine. See, I get to where I can't even differentiate because I've been working on these for so long. And then a little bird. I did this in one of the recent videos. I had put in some little birds, and I think the birds came from Tracy Fox, but I printed them onto some coffee stained rice paper to see how they would come out, and that's what one of those are. This little washi tape and this washi tape, and I think even that one. I made washi tape. That was in another video too. I made a sheet of washi tape. I think I can't remember now. Let's see. I don't know if I had room for it in my kit. And it would be in this volume too. I don't think it is. If it's not, I will put it in the freebies. But it's just a sheet to make your own washi tape. And then this is from one of my kit, my second kit. And I also this one. Just did a few little embellishments on that card. This is from Rachel's. My washi tape, more of my washi tape. And then I had some other vintage letter kit that I got from Boho Love, I want to say, but I'm not sure. I'll try to find all the links and put them down below. But this was just maybe some vintage ephemera. It's hard because I know I've created some too, so we'll have to see. This one is from Rachel's. Some different vintage ephemera. I have a few videos ago where I kind of created some things because I needed things to tuck into some of these pockets besides just cards. This is from Rachel's. This is from mine, the back B-side. This is from Rachel's. I do have a kit also of my own that's watch faces, and that's from that. This is from this volume 2 of my kit, and also the back side. And this is also from just a piece of paper on tea stained paper from my B-side. I'm tucking in just plain scraps of paper that I just think coordinate, because my intention is that whoever gets this might want to collage and do more things, make more things. So I'm tucking different, you know, pieces of paper and things that can be used for other things. Again, some washi tape. I'm not sure where that one came from. And actually that piece was my piece. That I do remember now. That might be from, I made some digitals and then ended up either changing them or not using them, I think, because it would have been in this volume. I think when I did them, I would make one, and if I wasn't happy with it, I had already printed some practice runs, so I still used the pieces of it to, you know, use in the journals. So that one, it was, I think, let's see. It was part of this one. So now I can see that border around. So it is part of that one. There's the dedication. I just changed how it looked for the final. So I did, you know, I'm practicing. So I did lots of practice, but then I want to use up the things that I didn't make the cut. Another one of the little birds. Another just a scrap. This is from Rachel's. This was just a little card that came on. Actually a freebie from somebody. And another piece of my faux vintage ephemera. Just tucking some little things that could maybe be used. This little pocket was from Rachel's. And again, this washi tape was from mine. And the washi tape, you know, it looks clear. I printed some on, I think, onto rice paper that you cut and glue down. And then I also printed some on clear sticker paper. And then this is one of the button cards that I showed yesterday in the last video. Another little pocket. This is one of mine, and this is one of Tracy Fox's cards. So I like that you can switch things up. You know, you can take that out and put it in another pocket, and they all still, I like how they all kind of can still go together. Then this had just a little flip out, couple of pages of ledger paper that I had tea stained, and then just did a little stitching on that. That, of course, was done before it went into the book. But if you like that look, yesterday I showed all my little, you know, scraps. You could just glue one down. In fact, that kind of looks good with that. And then here is just this is just on a tea stained paper. This, I believe, is from one of Rachel's. And I liked to be able to remove it so you can write on the back. So I just used little black photo corners, so it just tucks in like that. And then this is one that I was creating that I ended up not using. I don't think it ended up anywhere, I don't think. But that was one of my practice ones. And then I just added some coffee stain doily. And then this was, again, one of Rachel's. And I think that was something I had printed on the back. I think this is some of my B-sides that I had made. Another envelope printed with actually one of my digitals. So this is the back side. This is the first signature of this one that I will, if I could find, put in the freebies. And then one of mine that I printed, and then just some scraps from actually the same digital. So these are just collaged on. This is from one of Rachel's. And then this is one of my B-sides. And this is from, I don't remember, I think Tracy Fox did a collaboration, and I can't remember the name of the other person, but they did a collaboration digital kit, and it's really kind of just random ephemera. In fact, I think it's called Eclectic something. I'll find the link, but that just was kind of a little journal cover. This is from Rachel's. This one is from my vintage book page one. Then I did nothing here. A little pocket. This is from one of my new ones. This, I think, volume 2. This is from Rachel's, and then I've added just some little collage pieces in one of my B-sides, I think. And then this is, same with that vellum, or the little glassine faux envelope. I did a video a few videos ago where I found Twisted Paper Studios, and she has a kit that's great. That's envelopes that vintage letters that fold into their own envelope. And then there's a couple of other envelopes. And I think this, I'm not sure if this is one of hers or not, but just taking envelope, digitals and making an envelope out of them. And then just, this is also from my coffee stain video of just printing vintage things on different types of coffee stain paper to make them look like they are really original old things. And this is from Rachel's. This is a Tim Holtz little card. I can't remember what that's from, but it's something I printed in my coffee staining video the other day. This is from one of mine, my second one, volume 2, a Tim Holtz card. And just some of the music washi tape I made. And then just another book cover, title page. And this is from Rachel's, my backside, B-side. This is from one of my vintage book page digitals. This is one of my wallpaper backgrounds, you can see. But I just like how, the colors that I had done this like last year. And I just loved how, all the colors can kind of go together, because this is Rachel's, this is mine, this is mine, this is mine from one of my new ones. This is in the volume 2. And then, these are Rachel's again. So I like how everything kind of went together. What happened is she has the 2 kits that are more of fold in half for signatures, and then one that's like more the ephemera, kind of cut apart different things. But I needed more, I wanted more variety of things. So I would kind of create my second kit was kind of filling in maybe color that I was wanting that I didn't have, or an ephemera, something for in a pocket or that sort of thing. So it was kind of the total reverse of how I had been making kits. I had made, painted and made a digital. Or I had made the journal with some cards and things, and then scanned those to make the kit. Same thing with my Bodhi journal. If you watched this series, which I'm working on volume 2, I did the whole journal and then scanned or shared photos that I had taken or things that I had done after the fact. Where this one to me was, I was making it as I needed something instead of finishing the journal and then scanning things. So it was, I need something to put in the journal, so I need to create it. And so that's kind of how this all worked. And you'll see once I'm finished with this one and gone on to this one, that my goal in doing a second one was use all the same things. There'll be more, I think, in this one, just because I had already put the signatures together in this one. But using all the same things, but you'll recognize things, but they'll be different, if that makes sense. I didn't use them in the same way. So back to this one. This pocket and this are part of my new kit. This is from Rachel's kit. And this is from some ephemera, a few videos ago, done to make look like an old receipt, but it's actually printed. And nothing here, lots of blank space. Another one of Rachel's to make a pocket, and then this is one of her papers, and I didn't make a card or anything with that. This is also from Rachel's. This and this are one of my digitals, the vintage book page, and this is one of Twisted Paper Studios letters that I mentioned, where I'll show you. I don't think in the video I had opened any of them up, but they're neat. They print, double-sided so that you can just fold them into the envelope. But it's nice because it's, it's good writing journal paper. You could tear it up and use it in collage. So it's really, you can look at those things as materials for your own projects too. So here's just another little short page that I turned into a pocket with a little tuck. So this is just a couple of little pieces. This front and back are from my kit. And then these are actually not Tim Holtz, believe it or not, but they're actually, I can't remember the brand, but it's a 12 by 12. They had a couple of sheets of ephemera things on double-sided. And then this is another one from Rachel's. And then this is also one of her papers. I just added one of the Tracy Fox's birds and one of my B-sides. And then this is just that little strip, glued down from when you tear off a ring bound paper. Another one of Rachel's and another one of Tracy's birds. And then just a corner pocket with book page and then some stitching. This background is from one of mine and a bunch of scraps from mine. And then a Tim Holtz card with nothing. Again from Rachel's, another pocket also from her kit. All these are from hers. And just a plain card. And another, just a little piece of ephemera, digital. Oh. And then this is just a piece of lace across for another little pocket. And then the lace I had go across to here. And then one of my snippets, I showed those yesterday's video. A little snippet from scraps, and then this is again from Rachel, so I just made a little tuck out of that. And then this is again one of my little snippet made into a paper clip, and then this is from Rachel's. I say Rachel's kit because it's on her channel and all that, but I think her husband made the kit and I just love it. So I think if I recall that it may be his kit and I should be giving him credit. And then this is a belly band made from one scrap of mine. And then, not sure, this is either, I know I have flowers from Roxy Creations and from Tracy Fox. I'm not sure whose this is. And then just another piece of ephemera from the assorted letters or whatever it is. I'll try to find a link. Because I didn't have a lot of my own old ephemera, I found a kit that was good. You can print it out on anything. Nothing here, nothing here, nothing here. Just a pocket that was made with the book page before the signature went in. And then I've just collaged on it with scraps from, I think these are all from Rachel's kit. And then one of my birds printed onto the rice paper again, which just gives it kind of a different effect. It kind of has more of a watercolor look to it. This is from my kit, one of the B-side papers. And then this background one is from Rachel's, and then just a couple of little, I had printed out either hers or Tracy's flowers, I can't remember, onto dictionary page, and that's what that is. And then just a little piece of ephemera. Nothing here. Nothing here, a little flip out that is also a pocket. And then just kind of, this is a scrap that I had, one of Rachel's papers, and then it may be from Graphics Fairy. Some of the things that I've used and printed, I don't have as to offer as digitals, at least not yet. When you take things from Graphics Fairy, there's a lot of free things and you can find things there yourself. I also use some of those elements in my own digitals, and in order to sell them, I have to alter them a certain amount and all of that. So I can print them out and use them in my own thing like this, but I couldn't, offer it in a digital to you because I would be violating her conditions. So, but I think that's what that was. I think it's from one of the Graphics Fairies kits. Now, there's kits and things available there too, and I don't know what all is available free because I pay for the premium membership. So if you do the premium membership, you have access to everything. So I don't know what's free or not, but you might check out. If you're looking for something, you might find it there. So just a couple of things I print out. This is a scrap, just a scrap on a cardstock from one of my digitals. So just, to tuck another couple things into a pocket here. And then this is from my volume 2, one of the digitals. And same with these. These are all from the same, actually I think these are all from the same digital. Just showing you how you can cut them apart in different ways you know, to create. These are from some of my B-sides too. So as you can see, this is Rachel's paper on this side. And when I wanted to create something, you know, decorative, I wanted to maybe have it complement these colors, you know, in the same kind of feel. But this is, you know, her side, and this is my side. And just another printed out piece of ephemera. This is a piece of washi tape that's just commercial. Something I probably bought at Michael's. This is from, the background is from my kit. And then this sticker on the front is actually from a new kit. While I was working on this, like last week, Graphics Fairy, every week they put out a new kit. And it happened to be French, pink French or something like that. It's all pinks and things, but it was all vintage French. So it worked out great. This is just a Tim Holtz card. I just liked the blues together. This was from that other 12 by 12 pack that I can't remember the name of. But I was getting down to the end and just kind of needed certain things. And so I went through my paper packs because I hadn't done that at all. So there's very little from a paper pack in this, but there are a couple of things. Just I was getting down to looking for certain color palettes. And another vintage label. I think this was actually in that same French where this is in Graphics Fairy. And then one of those little letter, another just a couple little small things. So it's a card with a little tuck pocket on the front. And then the band is a belly band in the back. And then again, just another pocket from one of mine. This background is one of mine, I think. And then this, again, from Twisted Paper Studios, another one of the letters. This band behind here, the belly band, the paper background is one of my wallpaper, vintage wallpaper. Nothing else done to it, just printed out as it is in the kit. And then this is one of Rachel's, and then one of mine. And then just some other little pieces. And then I did a little skinny in the center of this signature. It's just a piece of ledger, so it's a little skinny one. Made a little skinny pocket. This I showed yesterday. It's just some scraps from my little scrap bin. This is from my volume 2, and same with the B side. Nothing here. On the back side. This, I think, was part of, I don't remember what. Not one of mine, but I do have a whole thing. Maybe I'll put this in the freebies too. This is actually from, I did them in Cricut. But this is actually from one of my digitals. And I have some vintage calling cards that would be big like this. But then I took out and isolated just the little inside floral part to make some stickers. So maybe I will put this in my freebies too. But it's just, this is from Cricut, but you can fussy cut them out yourself too. So maybe I'll put in freebies. So I'm not sure where I got this one. Actually, I think it was on that same 12 by 12 sheet that had some random ephemera. I think that was on there. I think this actually was on there. Yep, I could tell from the back side because they're all this same pattern. So those were from that. Same with this piece. So this, you can always, you know, not glue down every side, and you're making a secret tuck or pocket. So this calling card has, I left the top open so I can, you know, have it be a little tuck too. And then the folded up ledger makes the pocket for this. And then this is from Tracy's French Chateau, and I think it's from the ephemera one. And this is the back side of my vintage wallpaper. This is one of Rachel's in the band also. And then this flower is kind of thicker. It's from Tim Holtz little botanicals. And then this is from, I want to say it's from one of mine. It is. Yep, this is from this one. So I have to keep looking back. When you're working with things from, 3 things from someone else and your own things, I've been going back and forth between these journals. I'll even forget. trying not to be redundant in one journal. Like I wouldn't want to put another Eiffel Tower one in the same journal. Remembering, you know, when you're working on both, remembering which one is in which book. So these have been flipped through a lot. This is from one of mine. This is from that 12 by 12 sheet, and this is from one of mine, just on a piece of paper. Again, nothing here. This is Rachel's. This is actually Bohemian Crafting has a whole digital kit of vintage maps that are great. So that's what that one is. This is from one of mine. This one, I'm not sure. I was thinking maybe it was a background from my rustic textures, but I don't see it here. So I think it is actually from a 12 by 12 sheet of paper. Not that it matters, but anyway. And just some scraps. These scraps are from my kit, and then the birds from Tracy Fox, I think. And then again, this is Rachel's. But again, you know, I'm just trying to pull out colors and then create my own thing that complements those colors so that I can mix these kits together. And then this is Rachel's, and this is Rachel's on the top, I think. And then the bottom, I think, is mine. So hers, mine, and then I added a little butterfly. And then this is one of my B-sides that is in volume 2. And then this is hers on an old book page. This is also hers. And then this is for mine. Or this is from mine. This I don't know. This I think is probably from the Vintage Letters kit. And then this is from the 12 by 12 pack, which I did use this somewhere else before. Normally I try not to do that, but I did see that there somewhere, I think. And another one of the faux glassine envelopes with another old looking letter that's not old. And this again, I think this is one of my practice ones, or a B-side. And the B-sides, a lot of the B-sides that I used, it's hard to kind of point out and show you, but they're the under layer, there's maybe 3 things layered on top of each other to give it texture, and you change the opacity. So a lot of the under layer of these come from either one of my wallpaper, one of my fresco finishes, one of my rustic textures, or one of the grunge papers, just to kind of give it, to change it up. And then another just little flip out. This is Rachel's. This is Rachel's. And then I had done a music master board, just collaging music paper onto the back of actual vintage ledger, and that's what the base of this card is. And then one of Tim Holt flowers, where I just glued 2 sides so that it's a little tuck. And then this is one of Tracy Fox's digital little squares. And then this, I made up my own collage. I cannot sell it because I used Bohemian Crafting's different ledger papers and just made them small so that I could print them out on tiny things. So that's what that is. A little card. And then this is actually, I may offer something at some point in another kit, but I'll probably want to change it more or add to it. I had done a couple of papers because I wanted some wallpaper backgrounds, some vintage wallpaper, and Graphics Fairy just came out a couple weeks ago with a vintage wallpaper. Again, it's like they knew what I was looking for while I was working on these 2 journals. One of them, I had my wallpaper, which is not really wallpaper, but I wanted stuff that had then, florals or whatever on it. So I can, at some point, I think what I might do is take my vintage wallpaper one, which nice, and then add things on it to make it look like wallpaper. Add floral vines or whatever. but I haven't done that. So they came out with this whole pack of wallpapers, just different wallpapers. So I took all the ones I liked and then I altered them so that they aren't even the same color as they were offered in Graphics Fairy. I made them all in kind of a color palette that is kind of more me when you look at it, that just appealed to me and kind of would all go together, kind of, and just so I could have some backgrounds. So I did 2 sheets different. These are small and then I have larger. This is my box of digitals. So I've done 2 so far. So I don't know that I can offer them like this. I mean, I did alter them, and made a collage out of them. But I did one so that there would be larger pieces, things layered on top of each other, just to be able to cut them apart when I need a certain color of something. And then this is what the smaller pieces one. So just to kind of have some digital masterboardy kind of backgrounds to chop up. So that's what this is. And again, it was just for me to get color together that I wanted. And that's it. There is a pocket here, but I don't have a card in it. So that is the first one. And it's really chunky. I'm not even going to tie it up. But I think that is done enough for the person that wants it. They can add and, continue on with those things. And then this is the next one. I know I'm getting kind of long here, but you can just fast forward. So this one, I kind of had grabbed this one. These 2 are very similar, almost identical as far as the signature. So I pulled this one out. I still haven't finished it, but I'm probably going to sell it just as a totally naked book, just like this, once I get this spine cover finished. So the signatures in this one are almost exactly this. So I'll show you this real quick just so you can see what they look like without anything. This is after I had made my first digital kit. It was after I had started this other book. I finished the first kit, and so I created this one, and it has some B-sides and then the colorful sides. So it's that in combination with these digitals that look like the old book page are actually digitals from the vintage book page kit. So this is one of my grunge backgrounds, just as a B-side, printed on the envelopes. There's just a couple of those in here. So this, I decided to do a naked journal too to sell, so that somebody can just take it and really just do whatever they want inside the whole thing, putting pockets in and all of that. So this one looked like this until I started adding things. So I wanted you to kind of see a quick flip through of this. That way you can kind of envision, how they start and how they end up. And again, on this one, I did not decorate it completely. I wanted to leave a lot for the end user. So this one, when it's finished, will be a naked journal. And then this one, so this is the same 3 signatures, which I think is a better size. And just on a book cover, the cover was done with decoupaged dictionary or book page, and then I went over it with scrim, and there's a video about this, and then just aged it with my vintage photo, and then created this little spine cover from an old doily with some slow stitching and my rusted scrim. So I'm calling this scrim because I'm so used to calling it that, but I did cover in a recent video that I did find more cheesecloth that looks just like this. So cheesecloth, scrim, same kind of thing. And then for the closure, I just did the same ribbon, just some scrap that I had, and then just did a little eyelet. And this one, the first one, I should have showed this, I guess. When I just did a single ribbon, and I did it where the eyelet actually holds this in. So you put the ribbon in first and then put the eyelet in, and the eyelet will secure that, and then you just clip off the end. That's one way to do it. I actually really kind of like this one where I didn't secure it in the eyelet. So I went through with double the length and just tied a knot. On the back, I didn't put any embellishment. I had this one really pretty vintage button, and it kind of just squishes into that little eyelet that I liked. I thought that looked really pretty with this. So simple, but you know, a little bit of decoration. Again, kind of a library pocket style. This one, I think in this one, I want to say I used more of my digitals and kind of did the reverse, I think. This has more of Rachel's French Chateau digitals, and then I added mine in. I think I did the reverse kind of on this one, was my own digitals. These were quite a few videos ago in Studio B. I made a bunch of little tags and bookmarky kind of things from recycled clothing labels, and that's what these are, just little collages. And then just a piece of ledger with just another one of those flowers printed onto dictionary page. Some of this is going to be very redundant if you've been following this along, but you can fast forward, I guess. Nothing here. One of my little stickers when I was doing the coffee staining, printing some things. This is from Tracy Fox, and just printing them on different tissue, rice paper, that kind of stuff. This is the envelope pocket in this one, which is a little different than the other one I just showed. Just some little collage scraps, again, on both sides. And then just some little cards. This is Tracy Fox background. And I think these flowers are Roxy Creations. This is something from one of my kits, just miniaturized. One of my clock faces, I think. Or it could be a Tim Holtz one. Tim Holtz does have a few, but I'm not sure where that one came from. And just a little tuck. This is a Tim Holtz card. Title page. This I covered in another thing. It's in one of my digitals. Same backgrounds as I just showed you, so maybe I don't go into all that, but one of mine. And these are just a circle cut in half. It's thicker. It's maybe tripled up thickness. This came in a bundle of things that I bought from somebody, and I just love her. I only have a couple of those though, but I really like those. And again, these are my kit. This background, these envelopes were done with Rachel's kit, printed on an envelope that had, I used book page to cover up any writing I didn't want to see. So that's why you see that extra layer of text. And then I think one of Tracy Fox's flowers printed on dictionary. So it's an envelope. I had it flip out, and then there's just another tuck. This is Rachel's paper. In the belly band, I'd shown this before. I had printed out an extra one of my little thumbnail prints, which has all the different ones. So I just cut the strip and used it for a belly band. And then again, I showed this the other day, one of my decorative paper clips, just holding in a couple of things. Another envelope. This one actually is printed from one of my kits. And then this is it's a Tracy Fox tag with one of my background papers and Rachel's embellishment. And then that, I think, is from my vintage book. So just trying to, you know, stretch some of the other digitals with other, you know, mix and match, eclectic. Nothing on this one, nothing here. Did a little corner tuck. This is one of mine. That is a bookmark. One of the clothing tags, and then just a couple of pieces from that vintage ephemera one that I have to find. And then just a little tuck sort of pocket that folds over to the other side and creates kind of this. Remember those peachy folders, we called them, I think? It reminds me of that in school where you have just a folder that has the two pockets, that kind of thing. And then this card is a Tim Holtz background. Then I just added a part of my digital to make a pocket, and then just added a few little embellishments. So it's a card with a tag with pocket. And then again, using the photo corners to add, this is from one of my digitals. And make a little card. You can see that her jewelry, I showed this in another video, but I used embossing powders just to make the jewels kind of shine. I made this a long time ago. It's a little coin envelope kind of envelope, but I liked it there, so I grabbed it to use with just another faux vintage ephemera inside. And then just added a scrap from one of Rachel's. This is from Rachel's and one of Tracy's birds, and then another one of Donna Twisted Paper Studios letters. And this is from one of mine. This is obviously from one of mine. And then this is from Rachel's. And then the vintage ephemera pack. Anything here. Pocket with just a few little added embellishments from Tracy Fox and a stamp. And then this was, again, one of these random ephemera things. This was from I just shrunk down some, I think this is from mine. Shrunk down some of my title pages to smaller. And this is Tracy, I think. Yes, one of her digitals. And then this is just another little card collaged on from my scraps. And then this flower is from, I think, Tracy's. And this is one of my backsides. Not a backside, but one of my digitals. And then a cute little rusted paper clip. I had mentioned these the other day that I'd take little pliers and just curly cue the ends of them. This is from Rachel's, and then one of Donna from Twisted Paper Studios, little letters. It's nice, those little letters that, you open it up and it's the letters on the other side. It's nice because in the collection, I can't remember how many there are, but they all end up folding up to different sizes. So you have some little small ones like this too, which is nice. So it's a nice variety. And I just love because of the age of them, just the way the handwriting is. So that fit nicely in there. And then this is from one of mine. Again, one of mine. And then that's a wallpaper background. And then this is another cute little paper clip, just from the little scrap bin. And then this is just a piece of lace that I've backed with a scrap of vellum because it was pretty flimsy and I wanted it to glue down nice and not get snagged on when you're trying to put paper in and out. So I don't know if I showed that in another video, but that's how I did that. And then from one of mine. And then I think this also, I can't remember. I can't remember about this. I know I've had these pieces, but this looks like a Tracy Fox label. I'm not sure where that came from. I'm not sure. That might be, Tracy Fox had a freebie. See, the hard thing, and this is the hard thing when you use Graphics Fairy, is I've used this same pattern. Maybe it came from Graphics Fairy. I'm not sure. You alter them, so it kind of makes them your own, but you recognize them. So it's hard to remember whose is whose. And then this was a little tuck. This is from one of mine. That's a book cover I have. And actually, when I mentioned this yesterday about this being my book cover, it is, but it's very bright. If I showed you the actual book, where is it? This is the actual book. So I scanned this because I just loved this. But for this project, it's very springy colors. I didn't want it this color. So I actually altered it to fit the color palette of what I'm doing here. So that's kind of the fun thing you can do is that I'm learning digitally is you can just have so much fun taking one element and then I can make it look totally different for a different project if I want it to be brighter or a different color or whatever. Again on mine, and this is also, I don't remember. And then one of Donna's envelopes. I used her pattern, her digital, and then printed the envelope. She has a few, like I said, of just making into envelopes. And I did that with some tracing paper that I had coffee stained. And then this obviously was one of mine. This is one of Rachel's. And then I made this little tag thing is a pocket. And then inside, I had made up a bunch of just of my little torn scraps of old book page or paper or whatever, and just made some little notebooks, little quickie, easy ones to tuck here and there. So this one, I think this journal has 2 of those. A lot of this stuff, as I was making, I didn't do videos about it. I go in, I don't want to say moods, but depending on what's going on, or if I can't record because there's noise going on outside, I just start crafting and then it never gets recorded. This is one of Rachel's, one of Tim Holtz flowers on a Tracy Fox background card with just some lace, and one of my backgrounds. And then one of Donna's letters. And then this was a piece, like I said, you can print things right off of Graphics Fairy. So I can't share this as a digital because I didn't really do anything to it. I printed it onto my coffee stain paper, but I can print them out and use them in my journals. And this one is from Rachel's. This is one of my grungy papers. I don't think I mean, I've obviously scanned it because it's on paper, but this was when I did rusty fabrics. And I do have a kit for rusty fabrics that you can print onto paper or fabric. And that's what that is. This is one of my cards with some scraps from Rachel's Digitals. And I put this, cut this out and put it on one of those, part of the book cover. That was this one, so you can see the water staining there. And then this is from Rachel's. And again, this envelope was printed with, it's just the other half of that, or a new envelope printed on with my digitals. This is another one, shows the colors go well together. This is Rachel's digital on one of mine. Made into a pocket, and this was also on one of mine. And then a Tracy Fox card or tag. And then this is just a little flip out, and that is from Rachel's kit. And this is part of one of mine. This did not make the cut, but I really like it. It just didn't end up in one of my digitals. And so I don't have that. I had taken this pattern and actually colored all of those elements. And I liked it, but then I ended up changing it and liked it better. And so I don't know. But I did like the color with this color. This is an envelope that I actually decorated up before, just mass making something, and then I ended up putting it in here, and this is from one of my digitals. So I needed something a little more colorful, and then this card was made for one of Rachel's with the back of one of mine. I just try to get everything kind of, I don't know, have a look that's color-wise or pattern-wise pleasing to my eye. Nothing here, nothing here. Lots of room for the next person. It's kind of like a progressive journal. I do part of it, and then I'm going to sell it to you, and you're going to do your thing. The other side of that envelope. And then this was one of Tracy's digitals for the background. And then this one I actually added a piece from one of my hand-painted scraps. I have a whole separate thing of scraps that has like scraps of painted, hand-painted things. So I was playing around with, new things or bold things can fit in with all these vintage things too. And then this is a page, I think from, it's one of my digitals, but I don't know if it ended up in a kit. And then this is from one of my kits, and actually this is the spine of that little book and just a little scrap from it. And that is the other side of that rusted fabric page. And then one of my back sides, or a piece from the volume 2. This part is in volume 2, but when I printed it, the whole thing didn't print, but I didn't want to waste it. I still liked how that looked. So just another thing there. And another little tag. And then another one of my just little scrappy, leftover scrappy notepads. And that is it. So 2 journals ready for homes. I may add a couple more things, but I don't know. So that's it. If you have any questions, would like to see anything more, I'm hoping I remember to put all the links down below. And this was a really long video, I know, I'm sorry. So hopefully you enjoyed the little look-see. I'm going to offer these, like I said, to the people on the list, and then if not, they end up in my Etsy shop. So I will tag you, I think, or private message you that these are ready. So have a great rest of your day, and go make something. Bye.